Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the FiveMarks Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host for this week. I am Carmo. Welcome back for another week. I always throw that in there somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be delighted to know Martin is not here. Big celebrations. Big celebrations. But speaking of which, we are joined by our regular Mark now. He's not a guest, he's a Mark. Mr. Rob Gould.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. And I hope I'm going to a great episode again tonight.
That should be good. And ladies and gentlemen, it is no coincidence. Martin disappears. Emmet reappears. He's back. He's back.
From the grave, I returned. Like, I think this is the biggest gap in time since I've been on. I think it's over 100 days since I've been on an episode last.
That's a long time.
Every time that I seem to leave, there seems to be an extra 3 marks in the fold. So I'm kind of like, next time I'm back on an episode, I'll bring Kevin and Keane back with me now.
Just to make it all whole again, you know. We're slowly moving into like the 10 mark situation, so we're getting close. Like
it's like the NWO. It's like once you know one of us, you become Americans.
But the matter of the point is, when we get inducted to the Hall of Fame, there will only be 5 of us inducted. All the rest of you can scoot along. That includes you, Rob.
Oh.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to talk about the Royal Rumble, which is happening next Saturday as you're listening to this, if you are listening to this as it comes out. So yeah, we're going to kind of go through a couple of things that have been happening in WWE in terms of storyline, what could lead up to the Rumble, what could lead up to after the Rumble, our favorite moments from the Rumble, and kind of a couple of things that we think maybe like might people that might debut, return, surprises in any shape, make, or form. So we'll be going through all that. But lads, look, this episode is actually out this Saturday as we're recording it, so the week before the Rumble. And we're at the Loco Rumble as we talk.
Mm.
How good of a show is it so far?
I can't believe that P. Cool has eliminated 25 people from the Rumble already. Like, the man just never slows down. Like,
it's mental. I can't believe a Walter returned to OTT just for the Loco Rumble.
Messing aside, I am very, very. I think this is the most excited I've been for an OTT show, with the exception of Scrapper last year. Like I like, and you know what? The only thing about it is like the undercard was kind of like fully like revealed today as we're recording it. So we have like Robbie X versus Renzo for the NLW title. That's going to be savage. Got Martina is defending against Anita Vaughn. That's going to be great. Who is it again that Sammy is defending the title against?
Flash Morgan Webster.
Yeah, that is going to be absolutely phenomenal. But the actual Rumble match itself, like they've already revealed like 2 surprise entrants and everything like this. Like I actually can't call the Loco Rumble, which is gas, because like the WWE Rumble that's coming up next week is kind of like a pretty solid idea who's going to be in the final 3 at least. Like, do you know what I mean? With this, like, it's impossible to call it. Like, and I'm buzzing for it. I'm absolutely buzzing to see how that match transpires. Like,
yeah, big time. I think, and the thing about it is too. I mean, you could also have Cody Rhodes coming to the Local Rumble just to win that, so he can finish his OTT story. And that, because at the minute he just doesn't seem to be able to finish a story, no matter where he seems to go. And it just seems to be, as I say, obviously we'll get talking into that as well later on in the podcast about the WWE Royal Rumble. But this one, as I say, first ever OTT Royal Rumble. So hard to call. There's so many twists and turns that could happen in this, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I think the interesting thing with that as well is we've seen like the imports, as we call them, the big names that have come through OTT over the last 9 years or so. Like you never know who could show up for this Rumble. Like I know in our chat we were kind of talking like Scotty Tuhati, who I now know is part of AEW, so probably might not get Scotty Tuhati. I've had a sneaky feeling of like an RVD maybe showing up for a Local Rumble. Now, if you're listening to this after the Local Rumble, you know we're all completely wrong and that we're all fools. Like, kind of that we got like man like Dries, but we were happy with man like Dries. But I don't know. It's just there's something different about a Rumble that makes it just so much more exciting. Like even when NLW did one back a couple of months ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, and they did a 20-man Rumble, and it was the most exciting thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so much fun. And even just for a 20-man rumble. So to have a 30-man rumble, not even a 30-man rumble in OTT, there's going to be 30 entrants.
Yeah.
But tag teams count as one.
Yeah.
Which just makes it more like we could end up having 40, 50 people inside this local rumble.
Yeah, it's going to be more sort of like, more, the biggest Royal Rumble in history that can, and that's, can't remember any bigger than that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's mental. Now, I will ask, I'll go to Emmet first. If you have a prediction for who could win the local rumble and what could it lead up to towards Scrapper?
I've got two. I'm inclined to think one above the other, and one of them literally just came into my head talking about that the idea of surprise entrance and stuff. But before I get into that, my initial thought was that it was either going to be Corbin or Danny Cross. But then I was like, if you it would make sense for Danny Cross to win it. But do you really want to have another draw versus draw match on a big stadium weekend? Because we just came away from Sterling and Sammy there from the anniversary weekend or whatever. I think it would make sense, given kind of Sammy's kind of tweets and everything at the moment, that to have a homegrown talents challenging for the world title Scrapper weekends or whatever. And it would be amazing. It would be amazing to see Danny Cross and Sammy D in the National Stadium. I am inclined to think that Skins is actually going to win the OTT Loco Rumble. And the reason for it is Sammy is there going on about how the imports are kind of hijacking and taking the piss out of OTT. Whereas Mark Haskins kind of ruled the roost for a couple of years as one of the most dominant OTT world champs in history. So he could make an argument if it wasn't for the imports, you wouldn't have an OTT and vice versa. So been interesting dynamic. We saw that match. Well, we saw a version of that match at WrestleRama. It obviously went to a no contest and whatever like this. If you put that in the main event, Dublin, night 2 of a Scrapper weekend, no count outs or whatever like that, one fall to finish. I don't know. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. Outside of that, the only other one I can think of is possibly Corbin, but I don't know. Half me with the whole Damien Corbin thing is they've been doing so much but so little at the same time with him since the heel turn or whatever. He is a credible challenger to Sammy. The match has already happened too, to the best of my knowledge, and it's he needs to do something else before going for the world title properly again. He also has the number 30 spot, and I've missed something here. How was it that it came to pass that Damien instantly got the number 30 spot in the Rumble?
So he had the match against Alan Maxted, and the winner of that, and at the last Belfast show, and the winner of that got the number 30 spot in the local Rumble.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I don't know. I would have rather had a Max to get the number 30 spot anyway. What was it we were calling him this time last year? Myself and Martin used to keep calling him Pump Daddy Flex or something like that. And then he went on a very well timed sabbatical after we started calling him that. He probably got petrified at the thought of 2 pasty white Irish guys calling him that.
Rob, what's your predictions for the local Rumble and then kind of leading up to Scrapper?
To be honest, I had this mad thought in my head, and so again with Emmet, I've got 2, but one's slightly mad. Now I don't know whether it'll happen. It may not. Probably won't. But something in my head thinks Joe Cabray could throw himself into this, but also go on to win it, because he's always said about that he would always put himself maybe in the match that makes sense, but that would lead into potentially either a match with Sammy D at Scrapper Mania, but then he pulls out at the last minute and a surprise replacement comes out to replace Cabray.
Interesting.
The other twist that I thought, as I say, obviously with Corbin getting the number 30 spot, I wouldn't mind him winning it but I know he has had a shot with Sammy D before, but I wouldn't mind him getting it, but I would like to see somebody a bit different. But there again, it needs to be in the main event caliber sort of thing. So I'm thinking potentially Scotty Davis as a winner of this, and as I say, because him against Sammy D, I mean, we all saw at Hard Knocks what they can do. So why not in a national stadium, 2,000 people?
Absolutely, 100%. I think there are 2 people that people are kind of, I don't want to say writing off, but definitely forgetting about is O'Malley and Scotty Davis. An absolute dominating tag team and even better singles. I think there are 2 people that and they're probably under the tag team rule going to enter as one. So if they enter as one, come in fresh, they could annihilate the whole opposition. You just never know.
That'd be a cool spot to see too if it was like around the 25 mark and the two of them come in with that like I don't know, is it Ludacris that does their like entrance music and just seeing them like gut wrenching people here, there, or whatever, and just like standing firm for the last 5 spots. That'd be fucking savage to see.
Yeah. For me, in terms of predictions, I think it's either going to be Danny Cross or Be Cool. And I have a small theory that we're going to go back to a heel Sammy D, where Sammy ends up still aligning himself with Charlie and Max did. And then we get Jay and Be Cool, or Be Cool and Jay. And then we get Be Cool or Jay against Sammy as Scrapper. What I would love to see, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see, and this could be something for Corbin, that's why I didn't mention him as a possible winner, Steve Savage and Sammy D for the world title at the stadium. But if Steve Savage is in the match and doesn't win, I think a stadium match between Steve Savage and Damien Corbin will be elite.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it'll be something special.
Yeah, it would be two meaty men type of thing, and not, you know, good sort of heavyweights type of thing, and not going at each other. Why not? And again, you know, you would want that in a stadium show as well, too, type of thing, and that.
Yeah.
And you brought up Steve Savage there as well. Like, you know, you've got potentially, you know, as I say, the rest of the detachment potentially returning at the Loco Rumble too.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
You just never know. But I think on the Steve Corbin thing, if you make that match at Scrappermania number one contender, that makes Corbin, if he wins, a viable number one contender, because he's gone through one of the biggest and best in the country in Steve Savage. Do you know that kind of way? And like, I know he's gone through Big Damo and a couple of others, but we've seen all that kind of stuff a lot. I won't say before, a lot. We have seen it kind of repetitively over the last kind of 2 years. So I think someone like Steve Savage to step into OTT could be huge. But yeah, Terry Thatcher as well could be another good shout if the detachment return. Could be a really, really good shout. But look, I hope everyone enjoys the Loco Rumble. And for those of you who didn't get tickets, tough luck.
It's going to be on OTT demand, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Tune into the FiveMarks episode that we reviewed that show, hopefully. But look, we're going to get into the Royal Rumble. I don't know about you, but I'm fairly excited for this Royal Rumble. And I'll tell you why. The men's Rumble, which we'll get into in a kind of a couple of minutes, I think is very kind of, it's between maybe 2 to 3 people. Maybe. You can probably narrow it down to 2. The women's Rumble has a chance this year to be the best Rumble match we've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's so wide open. There's 4 or 5 different names that you could definitely see taking that. Whereas most other Rumbles, you look at it, like last year, we all knew Cody Rhodes was winning. Do you know that kind of way? Like, we've had those years and we know, like, John Cena's winning, Randy Orton's winning, Roman Reigns is winning. I think for the women's one this year, it's extremely open. Yeah. Extremely open.
It's one of the most open Royal Rumble matches that I can remember in history. And that, probably even more open than whenever they used to have the championship, the WWE Championship on the line in the Rumble matches. Yeah. And that it's that open. It's anybody's game really in the women's Royal Rumble.
Whereas I think for the men's Royal Rumble, excuse me, you're probably talking between 2. Like, everyone knows Cody wants to finish his story. That's kind of fairly obvious. But you also have CM Punk, a returning CM Punk, and you already have that match with Seth Rollins. Stick 2 and 2 together. Punk wins the Rumble, goes on to face Rollins at Mania. Because I think the other point, and I've talked about this with other people, I don't think a lot of people want to see Cody win the Rumble again.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
It's he had the kind of marathon man performance for better or worse last year, but no, he didn't. He came in 30 last year, actually. Never 30, mind. Yeah. But I will say, kind of WWE have shot themselves in the foot by announcing that CM Punk is going to be at the Elimination Chamber show in Perth. So if you have variables here for the Rumble, I think all roads are leading towards the Universal title when it comes to the Rumble results. The chamber is going to dictate who challenges Seth and everything like that. Just the way that they're building everything, even with Rock reappearing, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, whether or not Dwayne is going to have a match at Mania. Be very weird for him to drop that whole head of the table thing about a month ago now if he wasn't going to be having a match with Roman. There is a theory out there, which I'm all for, and that would be that the two title matches at Mania would be triple threats, which would be great to see. There's a rumor online that the WWE, oh god, the WWE Universal World Heavyweight Championship, some fucking mouthfuls, is going to be between Roman, Rock, and Cody, which would be brilliant and would really elevate Cody if he won that match rather than a straight up one-on-one rematch from last year. And there's also a rumor mill going around that the World Heavyweight title would be defended in a triple threat between Seth, Punk, and Drew McIntyre, which I would really like to see more than a one-on-one match between Seth and Punk, like, you know. And as well as that, I think, you know, like, I love him. Like, McIntyre deserves that Mania moment properly too. Like, he had the main event spot at, like, you know, at WrestleMania 2020, but like, sure, with COVID and everything, he didn't really have a moment there. He could have had a moment at Clash of the Castle. They didn't follow through with that. And even I think being involved in a main event, even if it was night one for the World Heavyweight title like that, would be great for him. Like, my variables are four. Like, I think either, I can see McIntyre winning it. I can see Punk winning it. I could see Dwayne coming back in the 30 spot, having to do the bare minimum, just throw one or two lads over, do his bits and whatever, and just go straight off to Mania or whatever like that. It's impossible to call. And I thought going into this, like, when I thought, you know, that I'd be kind of fixed in my stance of being like, no, Cody's going to win it or Punk's going to win it. But it's the more I think about it, this is the first time in about 4 or 5 years for a Rumble that, like, I think the only time outside of this where I've actually been a little bit kind of like, I actually don't know who's going to win it, was probably 2020. 2020 was the only other time, like, because like with Brock going in with the world title, I was like, I could have seen him going the whole way through, but at the same time I was like, oh, I don't know, I could see someone throwing him over the rope, and that's when it was happening. But I don't know, if you put a gun to my head, sorry,
go on. No, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say Punk. That's who I'm going to say if you put a gun to my head. But again, they've already like revealed that he's going to be a part of Elimination Chamber, so he's probably going to be in a chamber match to win his world title match spot for Mania. I don't know. It's impossible to call at this rate.
Yeah,
Rob,
I'm going to let you go.
Yeah. I think it is a really tough one to call for the men's one because, you know, as I've said, you know, as we all know about Cody Rhodes wanting to finish the story. CM Punk returning, you know, there's Randy Orton too, who's returning as well, type of thing. And that, you know, you've got him in the mix there. LA Knight still there is one of the favorites too, type of thing. And that, but I can see him being more in the chamber match, and not rather than sort of being anywhere near, you know, sort of winning the Royal Rumble. But I can definitely see LA Knight being in one of the four that remains at the, you know, in the end. But honestly, I think with the whole, you know, the Rock scenario sort of type of thing and not coming back, you know, challenging Roman, you know, people are sort of wanting to see that as being a one-on-one match, and obviously that's not going to happen at the Elimination Chamber. So whether are they going to try and maybe sort of, you know, have it at WrestleMania, or as we say, possibly turn it into a triple threat match for the title as well, which would be quite nice, especially if Cody Rhodes was in that, and actually Cody Rhodes actually beat the two of them for it as well, which would actually be quite good. But as I say, some people do want Roman Reigns to retain it, obviously to solidify himself as being the only one at the head of the table, bar myself.
These people are you, Rob.
Well, I am all the people, so yeah. So I am the people. The Rock's not the people. But yeah, as I say, I think himself, I think Roman, I think he's the one that needs to carry it forth. Obviously, he's pointing towards Solo to take over from the Bloodline as well. So there's Solo potentially as well. But as I say, that will probably be a while longer. But I think for the men's, I think if you were to say to me who would win it, I would actually go to say Randy Orton.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
So because I think obviously, you know, with Randy Orton return, I mean, obviously the CM Punk factor, I think it's almost too obvious to give to him. Cody Rhodes finishing the story, it's almost too obvious to give to him. But I can also see them giving it to LA Knight as well, which is the twist there, because the crowd, I think, would actually go nuts if LA Knight were to win it. And I think the crowd would go nuts if Orton was to win it. Whereas I think the people in the stadium would be thinking to themselves, well, if Cody was to win it, it's like, oh, he's going to finish a story. If it's Punk, oh, it's only Punk. Do you know what I mean? So to have someone who the fans can get more behind, and that, with whether it's LA Knight or Orton, I think they could be the ones that would be, well, the one remaining one at the end of the Royal Rumble match.
I'm gonna kind of come on your point there, so that's actually an awful way to say it, but anyway, we'll move past that. Anyway, we'll move past that. I don't think you have me going here. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said nothing. I should have said nothing. I don't think Orton, LA Knight, or Styles are going to be in the Royal Rumble match because we do have that fatal four-way against Roman for the title. Now, I'm going to throw out a small theory of what if The Rock interfered in that match, cost Roman the title, Randy won the title, and we do Randy and Cody at Mania, and then do Rock and Roman at Mania. I still, actually, Emmet, your triple threat idea for the World Heavyweight title, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. It gives all the boys an opportunity, and you can still have Punk go over, which is fine. Or you can even have Drew go over and kind of elongate that, and then have him drop the Punk down the line. But I think because like Rock and Roman don't need a world title. No. They don't. It's not about the world title. For Rock, it's not about the world title. For Roman, it's not about the world title. It's about being the head of the table, the tribal chief. That's what it's about. If you do that match with the title involved and add Cody to it, it makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Cody's a third wheel. You're just going to be sitting there kind of going, why is Cody Rhodes in this match? That kind of way, it makes no sense. And Cody having a victory over The Rock, pointless. Cody having a victory over Roman, fair enough. I'm all for that. But I just don't think it makes sense with having Cody, Rock, and Roman. It for me, it just doesn't make sense. Not at all. But I do think possibility of Rock screwing Roman, Orton takes the title, and you already have that ready-made story of Randy and Cody.
And you know, like, I think everyone is kind of has it prefixated in their minds that Roman's reign has to end with like in equal parts grandeur, where it doesn't need to. I think if you going off your point there, for Cody, it makes way more sense to beat Randy for the title, and like that when it goes to like finishing the story and everything like this. What really is the story? Roman has nothing to do with the story, bar the fact that he's holding the place that Cody wants. If he was to challenge Orton for that. If you think back all those years back, like nearly 17 years ago, like Cody Rhodes' first on-screen Raw appearance was Randy open hand slapping him for disrespecting Dusty. Dusty's been name dropped so much on this, like, you know, road to redemption arc for Cody and everything like this. Face-to-face night 2 WrestleMania for that title, Randy and Cody just makes way more sense. And it would be a proper kind of like bullet point full stop end to that arc too. I don't even think you need to do a rematch after that. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't like, do you know, because Randy's arc of like getting retribution against the bloodline for like, you know, results in his injury. That tick is crossed off. You know what I mean? Like Cody's chase for the title, that's perfect. Ends there and everything like this. It would be a fantastic match against the two as well. Plus, we never got the one-on-one match with the two of them after the Legacy breakup in 2010. Like, they had the triple threat at Mania 26, but like that was, you know, a bit of a placeholder match in hindsight. Like, do you know what I mean? I think the two of them, if you give them 25 plus minutes in the main event of WrestleMania, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Like, and like that, it probably wouldn't actually be night 2 thinking about it now, because you can't have a WrestleMania weekend with Rock and Roman on the bill without them like headlining it. And as well, what an appropriate match for, like, you know, the 40th edition of WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? Like, the most dominant world champion in the modern age with the versus the biggest box office draw in the history of professional wrestling. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't make a bigger main event in 2024 bar that. Like, do you know what I mean? But I'd be in full agreement with the Cody Randy arc. I think that would be an absolutely phenomenal way to end it. Like,
and it just draws everything back, because as you mentioned there, like, Dusty was involved in that story along the way. The Goldust was obviously there. You have the legacy thing. You have the whole lot all kind of intertwined into that whole story, which I think would be perfect to kind of lead it up to Mania. Now, if you actually look at Mania, and it was just actually when you said it there about Rock and Roman headline of Mania is looking stacked. It's looking really, really good, because like we don't know which way it's going to go. It could end up as a triple threat with Cody, Roman, and Rock. It could end up with a triple threat for the world title. But if you separate it, even if you do that, or if you separate it and do Cody and Randy, there's been rumors and reports that Brock Lesnar is going to return at the Rumble, and there's one man that's looking for him, and that's Gunther.
Oh man,
Gunther and Brock Lesnar at Mania.
I hope and I pray.
Yeah.
I hope and I pray.
Yeah.
I think I'd retire from following wrestling if that happens. I think that's as good as it gets for me now. Like, if they change back his name on top of it, then I die happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walter versus Brock. Yeah.
So that's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see now in the Rumble as well, when Brock kind of comes out.
Mhm.
If Gunther's in the ring, if Gunther comes out, eliminates Brock, vice versa. So there's so much that can kind of happen now at this stage that we did with it. Like, it's hard call. It's so hard call.
I do wonder too, like, would they have Brock take the title off of Gunther, or do they leave it on Gunther? Because, like, if you ask me, you need to leave it on Gunther, like, do you know what I mean? Because defeating Brock elevates him even more than he's already been elevated. But at the same time, if you were to go and give Brock the Intercontinental title, that's a bit more eyes on the Intercontinental belt as well, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard to call it. That's what I'm loving about WWE at the moment, is like, it's not easy to call anything.
No.
There's been so many times in the 10 plus years of us following wrestling where it was like, you could see, like, when Edge came back at the Rumble in 2010, you knew he was going after Jericho. Who else was he going to go after? Like, do you know what I mean? There's so many different, like, at the Rumble in 08, you knew Cena was going after Orton in the title, because that's, do you know, Randy was the one who got him injured and everything like this. So there's so many times it's been predictable. And just at the moment, like, we have certain matches we can call, but they're not, like, we can't set them in stone either, like, do you know what I mean? And even like that, I think it's fantastic as well. Some people have been giving out about this. I think it's fantastic that Mania has 2 nights, because I've only went back watching, like, full episodes of Raw and SmackDown in the last 2 months. If there was ever a one-on-one singles match, and it could go for 5 minutes, but if this happens at Mania this year, I will die happy. And as JD McDonough versus R-Truth in a stadium
Yeah.
at WrestleMania, just the thought, if you said this like 7 years ago, it's an OTT faithful, that, like, Jordan Devlin is going to wrestle former NWA World Champion Ron Killings in the undercard at WrestleMania, they'd be like, man, you're smoking crack. But it would make so much sense to do it, even if it was a throwaway match. Like, do you know what I mean? What they're doing at the moment is so good. Like I love that thing that he's doing as well. It's just like, I can't find Tom and Nick Mysterio.
Did you see the new shirt they brought out last night?
I did, yeah.
It's the three amigos, R-Truth, or Tom and Nick. It's so good. It's so good. That's, do you know what? That's actually a question that I can kind of lead into. It's kind of still around the Rumble basis, because that's normally when things start for the road to WrestleMania. What do you see Balor and Priest doing at Mania?
Yeah, I think
possibly a one-on-one match between the two. I think I think they're trying to wean off they're trying to slow the momentum with the Judgment Day as a faction. I think you could stretch another year out of it, but maybe another year would be too much. I think maybe it is time to grind it to a halt. Like, Rhea doesn't need a faction. Do you know what I mean? I would worry about JD McDonough if they put the wheels to a halt with Judgment Day now, because he's only been a part of them for the last 6 months, and he's not credible on his own 2 feet yet. He's only kind of starting to find that now. But you could do a tag team with him and Dominic Mysterio post Judgment Day too. I don't know. I could see the lads facing off 1-on-1. At the same token, I could, like, who's they're still the tag team champions, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know. If they don't face off 1-on-1, I don't know who would challenge them at Mania, because they've been trying to build up what's the name of the two brothers? The
Creed brothers.
The Creed brothers, yeah. But, like, I don't see them being there for, like, a Mania caliber match yet. Like, do you know what I mean? Because in ring they're astounding, but, like, it's like two creator wrestlers with no personality. Like, that's the vibe I get off them. Like, do you know what I mean? That's no insult to them either. Like, they just haven't found their kind of, like, personality on screen yet. Like, do you know?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about, obviously with with the Creed brothers there, and then with WrestleMania, because with WrestleMania for me, for tag teams, used to have great fatal 4-way tag team matches, and I think with the tag team championships, this is probably one of the best ones where they could actually put another one of these fatal 4-way tag team matches in, because you've so many tag teams that can vouch for these championships now, type of thing, and that, both Raw and SmackDown, and also NXT as well, if you throw that into that mix as well. But I think the issue with the Judgment Day, I think breaking up, especially so if they were to break up, say either pre WrestleMania or just after WrestleMania, is the fact that, like, the likes of Dom and JD, would they get lost in the mix? And that's the thing as well, because, as you say, JD is obviously still new to Raw, still new to the Judgment Day type of thing, and even if he was teamed up with Dominic Mysterio type of thing, it's still, you don't want them to be lost because they're so good. The heat that Dominic Mysterio brings, every time he comes out, type of thing. Like no one lets him talk, and it's so good the way he does that as well. It's just, there's only two people I know that have done that. That's him and Zach Gibson are the only two that I know that actually can bring the heat so loudly on them. It is unbelievable, and that's credit to him at such a young age as well, to be able to get so much heat and so quickly, because that all just turned to Clash at the Castle, and since then it's just skyrocketed for him and from then. But I do believe that, as I say, with Judgment Day, I think with Senior Money in the Bank type of thing, I think there's still always a possibility of a cash in at the Chamber. I believe could happen. Now, my suspicion with that was to keep the briefcase on Priest up until the next Money in the Bank show and actually cash it in on the show, because it would still be in the time frame of the cash in, which means he could cash in, win it, and then whoever wins the new Money in the Bank could actually end up cashing in on him.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, which would be actually a bad shout. Could very well happen. I don't see him cashing in this side of Mania. I think it'll probably be after Mania, but that could be the kind of downfall of the Judgment Day, because as Priest goes to cash in, Balor could interfere, costing the match, and then you have the breakdown of the Judgment Day. But speaking of which, I actually agree with your point about doing the Fatal 4-Way at Mania with the Judgment Day defending the titles. My only thing is, and I think we've only ever seen this stipulation once in WWE, might have seen it outside of WWE. It was a triple threat between Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit back in 01, 02, 19.
That was for the European title and the Intercontinental
title. The person who got the first fall got the IC title. The person who got the second fall got the US European title.
I see where you're going with this, yeah.
So it's a great, if you do that at Mania with a four-way tag match, it's a fantastic way of both splitting the tag titles and getting them off the Judgment Day. Which would actually be a great way to do it, because you have like we obviously the Street Profits are in that thing with what was the name of the tag team again? Karrion Kross and AOP. I can't remember the name of the team. Like you have Alpha Academy are there, kind of doing good things at the moment, and there's a couple of other. I know. I can't remember his name again. Giovanni Vinci from the Imperium is injured at the moment, but you had Imperium. You have a couple of different tag teams there that you do need to kind of split those tag titles again, especially if you're sticking with your Raw, SmackDown kind of ordeal and have your two champions. So I think that's where it could be. You're talking about JD McDonough, Jordan Devlin kind of getting lost if the possibility of the Judgment Day breakup. I actually think the person to get lost if the Judgment Day breakup could be Damian Priest, because Dom and Rhea have such a good thing going that they're not going to change that. I don't think that's ever going to change.
No.
If you break up the Judgment Day, Priest is going to go off and do his own thing, but I've a feeling that Finn will hang on to JD.
Yeah.
Unless Finn goes face, which is a possibility as well. But if Finn stays heel, he could hang on to JD, which will give JD that spot.
Yeah.
And it could lead to either a SummerSlam or Mania match between JD and Finn Balor, which, I mean, any Irish man or woman would pay millions to see that.
And to think we were supposed to get that at that, are we not supposed to get that at an NXT Takeover show? So like
NXT Takeover UK, I believe, yeah.
Oh, they did. Sorry, they had like a relatively short match and like a very early NXT UK show.
They did. Yeah, you're right. The one that was supposed to happen in Dublin, Balor was supposed to be Walter for the NXT title. Yeah, I had 4 row seats. I
remember this. Yeah,
ringside. Desperate times. Look, I kind of mentioned Brock Lesnar there. I did ask you to kind of come up with names that you could either see returning, debuting, surprise appearances, anything like that you might see in the men's rumble, because we'll obviously move into the women's rumble after this. I might go around one each. Might be a bit of fun, and I'm going to start with Rob.
Yeah, so one of my ones, to be quite honest, from this is actually Dragunov from NXT.
Shout, yeah.
And that, I think obviously with being obviously an NXT champion type of thing, they usually tend to bring in one of their big names for this, and I think he would be possibly one of them to actually bring in, and it would be a good one to bring him in for, because the type physicality that he would bring into this Rumble match as well, depending on when you bring him in. So if likes of, as we talk about Brock Lesnar there type of thing, if he was in the ring and somebody likes a Dragunov comes in and tries to take him on type of thing, and getting ruffles him up a wee bit and things like that, it'd be interesting to see what type of a mix he would bring in to the likes of, whoever's going to be in the ring with, whether it's the likes of Brock or whether it's anybody else who, that he hasn't sort of faced yet.
Absolutely, 100%. Definitely do agree with that, Emmet.
I've got a bit of an odd one. I just want to see your reactions to this one, and this is in light of his recent YouTube success. But I could see Maven Huffman making a very short but brief appearance in the Rumble. He's talked about how on his YouTube channel he wouldn't be in ring shape to do like a run or anything like that. But could you imagine how funny it would be, right? If you had Damian Priest wrangling with someone on the corner, Maven runs in, hits the drop kick, knocks him over the top rope in the style of the Taker elimination from O2. Crowd goes nuts. Maven does the hop, and let's say you just have another member of the Judgment Day throw him straight over again. You get a great little bit of a pop. It would put a little bit of more eyes on Maven and stuff, which I think he really deserves, because his YouTube channel is phenomenal. It is so good.
It is, yeah.
It is excellent. That would be fantastic as well, especially with the talk of him possibly returning a couple of years ago. I think it was the commentary only, but to get back into the ring in a Royal Rumble would be huge.
It would be
brilliant.
Would be an interesting shout.
22 years later after the Undertaker elimination. 22 years.
And this is the Royal Rumble. This is the Royal Rumble. The Undertaker's going to actually just return just for Maven, just to throw him back out again.
Undertaker,
you're actually out this time.
But the thing is, he has wrestled. He's wrestled post-COVID. He wrestled Matt Cardona a few years ago, not too long ago, maybe 2 years ago. So he can work for at least 15-20 minutes, do you know what I mean? So I don't think he needs it. I think 5 minutes to do, a replica drop kick elimination to a large, you're not going to do it to Gunther, but you could do it to Damian Priest. It'd be pretty funny, do you know what I mean? And it would just, there you go. But just imagine the Potman, this would never happen. But the way Maven has that iconic music and everything like this. Imagine just before his music, the line from the start of all his YouTube channels or these YouTube videos, hi guys, Maven here. Then his music kicks in. He runs.
The place would go mental in fairness for it. They'd absolutely love it.
I'd break my TV at home. I'd have a glass of it.
Then you wouldn't know if Maven won their actual Rumble or not,
That's it, you never know. My first one on my list, and this is for Francis Mercer if you are listening. There has been rumors of a WWE New Japan deal, or a working relationship possibly in the works. Kazuchika Okada.
Oh, good shout. That'd be excellent.
If you were to bring anybody from New Japan, if that deal was there, and debut him in the Rumble, who better to go for than the Rainmaker?
Imagine the sound effect and the pop that we get. Oh god, that'd be class. And then Maven to run out and eliminate him straight away.
Imagine. But yeah, I do. I like if you were to, if that deal between WWE and New Japan was to be there, I don't know if there's a better way to do it than kind of go for Okada, go for the top. Although I do have one, and I'm going to go next since it's on the list. Balor in the ring, Styles in the ring, Dave Finlay makes his entrance.
Oh, that'd be sick.
You have three Bullet Club leaders. And see where it goes from there. I don't think Dave Finlay kind of works as much as Okada, but if you were to do that kind of Bullet Club type story, especially with the link up between New Japan, that would be kind of cool as well. Rob,
I do want.
Sorry. Go on.
I just going to say really quick. I do wonder would Dave Finlay land with the WWE audience for a pop, just because
possibly not.
Just because he's relatively unknown compared to past Bullet Club members. Do you get what I mean when I'm saying that?
Yeah. But the only trouble is you have that same trouble with Okada, because we don't know if the WWE fans know Okada or not.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
Because that's the thing. Because so many WWE fans might actually not watch the likes of New Japan and things like that. There, so they actually, whenever it was the same whenever Finn got announced, type of thing, and that, all those years ago. It's don't really know too much about him, and then all of a sudden, he just became an instant hit, with the NXT fans and took over.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Rob.
Great. So one of my next ones, so obviously, again, sort of looking at NXT sort of type of thing, and he has appeared on the main brand of Raw before, and I'm going with Braun Breaker, and that to make a Royal Rumble appearance in that. I think, obviously, with the Dusty Rhodes Classic type of thing going on in that, maybe sort of not maybe a possibility, but the fact that I think he could be one of the ones that could actually be in this Rumble match itself. I think he'll give, if he is, I think he'll give a good showing, because we'll see how strong he is, and he's actually sort of grown on me a bit more over the past few months and things, especially sort of coming under the wing of Baron Corbin, as I know him as, and that from the Dusty Rhodes Classic and things like that. But I think, as I say, he would be one of my ones, surprise entrance as such for the men's, because it's very hard to narrow down who could be returning, because especially with the likes of obviously Punk and Orton already being announced, beforehand type of thing. It's really hard to who's going to be a surprise one for this year. It would have to be something bigger than The Rock to surprise anyone in this one.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, Braun Breaker's a great shout though. He's someone that we're going to see in the main roster sooner than later. So why not chance him out in the Rumble and get him, see how he is with the main roster crowd. Emmet.
My second pick was going to be, and just for a once-off Rumble appearance, I actually don't want to see him make a full-time return to WWE, but is always ready, Matt Cardona. I think now is the time. He's had nearly 4 years of this indie god run, which has been fucking phenomenal. He is an absolute inspiration to anybody in regards to the whole concept of reinvention and everything like this. I think he's even better than Jericho when it comes to reinvention at this rate. It just, even for anyone that has any business or anything out there, he did a recent YouTube video about how to best sell yourself and stuff like that, which I really think is worth checking out. But I think it would be such and I'm not even saying this for a joke, I think it would be such an internet fan pleasing moment if you had Mark Cardona come out, do his thing for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I suggested earlier, then do the Maven thing and have them have a Rock Hogan stare off where everyone's just looking at him, looking side to side. And then have Maven immediately eliminate him, but not. But no, I would love to see Mark Cardona in a Rumble and everything like that. Again, I wouldn't like to see him do a full-time WWE return. He doesn't need it at all. I think he'd be lost in the shuffle if he was there, and it's just his stock is so much higher than a WWE full-time run. He's knocking the ball out of the park now with GCW and everything like that in the moment. And it was actually just announced 2 days ago he's going to be wrestling Nick Nemeth on February 2nd for GCW, which I cannot wait to see, especially on the back of Nick Nemeth's TNA debut and everything like this, which is absolutely insane to even think is a reality now in 2024. But my number 2 pick, always ready, Mr. Matt Cardona.
Great shout. I actually had him down on my list as well. And I think if he did return, even if it was only for once off or whether he resigned or whatever, he'd return as Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to 100%. Yeah,
which would be interesting. Who do we go for next? Number 9 has just entered the ring. We're getting the countdown for number 10. Sean Spears, Ty Dillinger.
Oh,
the perfect 10.
Yeah, because he's not long left where he was at as well there. So I could see that. I could possibly see that. Especially, as I say, because as far as I know, I think his wife is and the Iconics are actually going to be hosting the Elimination Chamber. That's what I believe. I only heard about this the other day, where apparently they're actually going to be kind of almost kind of co-hosting the event before the whole event starts. To bring the crowd up as such. And so if they're going to be coming in for that, why not bring Sean Spears in and make it a perfect 10?
Perfect 10. Yeah, that's my shout.
Yeah.
Rob?
This one, again, I was really struggling to try to figure out who, but we have mentioned him a couple of times, and his name is Brock Lesnar. Yeah. I think he is going to have a big part to play in this Rumble, I think, this year. He's not going to win it, but I think he's going to have a big part to play in this, because he did have a big part to play whenever Drew McIntyre went on to win it. He helped him so much throughout that run and things like that. Even whenever Drew McIntyre was champion and things like that as well, he helped him out so much. I think there's things like that you sometimes don't see with Brock Lesnar, But whenever you see those types of side of things that he does and that and helps people with it, I think, bringing in new talent, coming into in the Royal Rumble with him in it, I think, that will help them as well. So him in it always brings a box office as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think with Punk being back and this kind of being his first match, I know he fought on a couple of house shows after the Christmas and stuff like that. It leads to so many kind of opportunities where Punk's in the ring, this person comes out, a little bit of a stare down, that's going to get over with the crowd, and that we could possibly see in the coming months or years or anything like that. That kind of which I think adds to a little bit more, which I think bringing Brock back as well for this is going to be pretty good for moments like that. Emmet.
My final pick, and it's just off the basis of the fact that he recently finished up with the AEW, is Andrade Cien Almas.
Yeah.
I can see him coming back relatively early in the Rumble to get like the first kind of surprise entrant pop and everything like that. I can see him making a full-time return to WWE and everything like this. I just think it's time. I think the AEW run left a lot to be desired. He's been hammering home about wanting to go back to WWE for the bones of over a year now as well, to be quite honest. And what a better way to bring him back than in the Rumble? Do you know what I mean? Which would you rather, a surprise attack on someone on Raw, SmackDown, or where the lights are on brightest at the Rumble? Like, do you know what I mean? And it sets up some potential future matches for him as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Throw him in to have a little bit of an exchange with the likes of Chad Gable, even the likes of like, I don't know, you could even do something with like, maybe even JD McDonough, because I'm name dropping him 110 times. Maybe he could have an exchange with Maven, set up a match at WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
Maven's got so much potential here in this Royal Rumble, like on its own, like,
He's been training so long to get that Rookie of the Year status. I think it's Maven's year.
We'll call it now Rockin' Maven at WrestleMania.
That's a WrestleMania 41 main event right there. Like.
Yeah.
For the hardcore European Internet Championship.
Vince McMahon special referee.
But it has to be do-rag Vince McMahon as well.
I have a couple more here on my list. Emmet, did you say that was your last one?
Yeah, I only brought 3 with me to the dance.
That's absolutely fine. Rob, have you many more?
I didn't have any written down, but I have one in my head there as well, potentially. But as I say, I don't know whether it will come off or not. But you can go with your wee ones.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3 left. So I'm going to go with this one, which is Stone Cold Steve Austin. We've heard about it last year. Possibly happened, didn't happen. We had the match with Kevin Owens the year before. If you're looking at the Fatal 4-Way, let's say Roman wins and the matches before the Rumble, LA Knight enters the Rumble. What a better way to set him up for Mania than the match with Stone Cold? And could you imagine the promo battles between the two?
Yeah,
as well as the pop for the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It writes itself. So if you are bringing Stone Cold back for anyone, and like I feel like LA Knight, he reached that level, but he just kind of like he's almost fallen apart. He just never reached that extra level. Do you know that kind of way? Mm-hmm. He's over with the crowd. He's having this. He's getting these matches with Roman Reigns, but he's just not bang. A feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin could definitely set him along the way in there. Like, yeah. So I think Stone Cold return set up a feud with LA Knight.
Yeah, there's one I had there. It was just basically off of obviously with Paul Heyman there being in and around. Obviously you've got Roman Reigns there, you've got CM Punk there. The next Paul Heyman guy, Curtis Axel.
Yes, love it. All for it.
Do you know? I mean, get Axel Mania back on the card. Axel Mania against Maven. That's your main event there, right there.
Yeah,
I would pay £50,000 just to see that match on its own.
Yeah, you don't even need a title for that match. You just need the two boys. Love it.
Just for Maven to eliminate both of them. Sorry, I'm gonna put that to bed now.
Maven's got it in his contract that he has to have the Undertaker at ringside with him at all times.
Maven just enters at number 30 and gets 29 eliminations straight away.
Do you know, out of curiosity, this is going to sound so silly, but I think the Laps fans that listen will get a bit of a laugh over this. Did you ever try when you were younger playing like the WWE games to try and keep as many people in the ring at one time as possible in a rumble?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that you couldn't have more than like 6 in at one time.
Yeah.
It's just gonna automatically eliminate someone anyway. So I was just like, for years I was just like, I'd be there running over trying to stop eliminations and stuff, but they would still happen anyway, and be like, oh, why isn't this working?
Every 2 minutes of superstar entrance. This has been like 25 minutes, and there's still no one coming to the ring.
Oh God. The good news now, Emmet, is that's up to 8. You can now have 8 people in the ring at once.
It's not 30 though. I want my 22 extra bodies in the ring, and I want every single one of them to be Maeve and Huffman.
Oh, it's got Maven and his kids.
Oh,
it's like Heath Slater and his kids. It's like Maven and all the kids.
Oh, Martin is going to go nuts when he hears this. He'll be like, he hasn't been on in so many episodes, and he won't stop mentioning Maven.
Oh, it's worth it though. I just want to say, like, I hope someone, like, if you're watching the Rumble with someone, I hope they have like a camera set up if Maven actually comes out just to get your reaction, because it'll be so good.
Do you know? I think I'm working at 1 the next day, so I could stay up for the Rumble since it's on a Saturday this year. I'll actually stay up for the match and record my reactions. And if Maven enters the Rumble, the telly's getting broken.
That's our viral moment right there.
I wish I had brought my Maven action figure onto this podcast. If I had have known, I would have had it set up outside me.
I have 2 more names listed down on my list, so I'm going to just say those out. Jacob Fatu is someone who we could see get involved with kind of the Solo, the Usos, Roman Reigns, that sort of stuff. And I'm going to paint a scene. We get down to the last 3. 2 people in the ring, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Number 30 is counting down 10, 9, 8. The buzzer goes off. MJF.
Oh, will it though?
No, it won't. It absolutely will not happen. But one can only dream.
Do you know, while on the subject of that, I think he could actually be 28. I just have a feeling 2028's calling for MJF, and I think MJF will appear. I know there's like this whole thing, like, you know, okay, he's not really going to be here, but I mean, why do the whole injury angle type of thing, the whole 2024 battle type of thing for the contract type of thing? If he's, there's been talk for years about MJF possibly coming to the WWE and things like that. Obviously, that's a rumor he just started more or less himself, type of thing. Whether it's to get more money from Tony Khan, who knows? But is the injury legit, or is he just going to be still battling Adam Cole on AEW? Why not even bring Adam Cole to WWE?
I mean, if we're typing I can't talking hypothetical like that, like you're just going to do a WWE versus AEW pay-per-view, but not call it that.
It's like the Invasion 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. MJF is legitimately injured. We know that for a fact. And I know there's going to be the whole story of 2024 free agent, yada yada. I'm pretty certain MJF has signed a contract already, and he's probably going to be there till 2027, 2028, give or take. Whether he makes the jump around then, who knows? But I don't think we're going to get an MJF. But if you could just imagine that moment where Punk and Rhodes are in the middle of the ring and MJF starts walking out, it'd be poetry.
Like to get that sort of he would be probably the biggest surprise of a lot, even though there is a bigger, obviously, the rumor type of thing in that, because everyone thinks, oh, it is just a rumor, it's not going to happen. But I mean, even just to hear that I'm better than better, and he just comes to the ring. It's okay, folks. We're not going to sing the whole song. Copyright infringement.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Though. It would be pretty cool. I got to get one name off you. Just one name. Who's winning the Rumble? Emmet.
CM Punk.
Rob.
The legend killer, Randy Orton.
I'm also going to go CM Punk, as much as I absolutely despise him, but I think CM Punk's going to go to win. Anyway, how about a little bet for the Rumble? How do you fancy a little bet?
Why not? Why not?
Sounds good to me.
So we're going to involve Martin in this as well, who thankfully isn't here today, but that's okay. I'm going to keep making this joke until he actually joins back on for an episode. How about we randomly pick 3-4 numbers each?
Yep.
If one of your numbers comes up, this counts for both men's rumble and women's rumble. If one of your numbers goes up, 3 other people have to buy your ticket to Scrapper.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a ticket to Scrapper is what we're talking, probably about 40 quid.
Okay.
So you're talking maybe 13 quid each for a ticket.
Yep, sounds good.
It's not breaking the bank, do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
Martin
we
just
set that
kicks
in
off
stone.
like Martin
We'll
just,
set that in
€13. That's 7 liters of fucking Avonmore. I'm not paying that.
It's got a space on it.
Them buns need calcium. We'll set that up. So we're gonna do. I might do like a little wheel spinner in a while. On like a little thing. I will talk about it in the group chat afterwards. Do a little wheel spinner, and we might even throw up our numbers. Just if any of you want to get involved in use that as well. Just pick 3-4 numbers each, and they both count for the men's rumble and women's rumble. If your number wins, obviously we don't know who's going to come out with what number. If your number wins, you win something. For us, it's going to be a ticket to Scrapper Mania. But look, before we get into the women's rumble, I did ask you to bring either 3 favorite rumbles or 3 favorite rumble moments.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go into that now. And I'm going to start with Rob to give us our first one.
So, fun enough, believe it or not, this is one of my favorite moments, and I possibly think it might be Emmet's, but might not be on his list. So, one of my favorite moments of the Royal Rumble was actually Maven eliminating the Undertaker, meaning he's still in the Royal Rumble.
Took it straight off my list. That was my 3 picks.
I think because it gets brought up so many times this as well, because obviously with Maven eliminating the Undertaker, the fact that he along with Curtis Axel is actually still one of the men that are actually still in the Rumble.
That's actually wrong, and I thought this as well. That's actually wrong. Maven was eliminated from the Rumble. Believe it or not, Maven actually was eliminated from the Rumble. Taker threw him out of the ring. He actually threw him back into the ring, threw him over the top rope, and then got out of the ring again.
Okay, so he was eliminated. For all those years, I thought that he'd still be in this Rumble.
Yeah, no, he was actually eliminated. Sad, I know, sad, but no, Maven unfortunately was actually eliminated. He's not been in one Rumble match for the last 22 years.
Until this year.
It's coming.
Great moment though. I think what's cool about that as well is you had the Hardys in the ring. They had a bit of a thing with Taker, which was actually going on outside of the Rumble as well. And Maven just kind of snuck into the ring, wasn't doing anything. And then the next thing you know, just have that drop kick. Taker lands. And then just that look on Taker's face. And as you were saying a while ago, Maven just jumping up and down in the ring, going up to the top rope, kind of lifting up the arms. It was like you'd never see those type of things in a Rumble, and it was just perfect. It was pitch perfect. Yeah. Emmet, what's one of your favorite Rumble moments?
I am going to throw in a match, and I'm going to go for the 2008 Royal Rumble match, as I wasn't watching at the time. It was the first WWE DVD I bought after starting to watch, and to this day, there isn't many Rumble matches to me that hold up in comparison to it. Obviously, you have the number 30 spot with Cena. That's a kind of relatively legendary moment in the Rumble or whatever, because he had a torn pec, was back within like 90 days, which is insanity in hindsight. But you have so many great moments that, like, Cody had a great story on Inside the Ropes about, like, he came into the Rumble at like spot number 7, like got all of his spots out of the way in like 20 seconds, didn't know what to do. So he went and he hit the Undertaker, and the Undertaker disregards him, and he's just like, drop kick me like this, and he's just like, focus and just hit the drop kick, whatever. But even like other moments in it, like you have like there's a brilliant moment between like Superfly Snuka and Roddy Piper and stuff. And I know Snuka's legacy is in the dirt now from everything he did and everything like that in the past. But in the moments in that match, it's fairly cool to see. Outside that, like as well as that whole pay-per-view is quite silly. Like this is one of my favorite WWE moments of all time, and it shows how silly my sense of humor is. So like do you guys remember Mike Adamley, who
Yeah.
for some reason was the Raw general manager for a point in 2008?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
this predates it by quite a while, but
I
he's
know
there like
exactly
going,
what you're about to say as well.
yeah, he's there like the man challenging for the WWE title. His name is Jeff Harvey. To this
The
day,
way he
it's
stops himself as well. He says it. He's like Jeff Harvey, Hardy.
I would love to think that whoever decided to make him Raw general manager, it was like taking the absolute piss. It's just like, you know
Yeah.
something, you can't get the name right. Here's your punishment. You're going to be the GM for the next 12 weeks. But no, as a whole, the pay-per-view is great. It's silly and everything, but that match especially is absolutely fantastic. Like, it's definitely up there, one of my favorite Rumble matches, anyways.
Another cool moment in that match was actually when Mick Foley came out, and then Triple
Yeah.
H came out a while later, because you had the Mick Foley Triple H stare down in Madison Square Garden, where they had that I think it was a street
Was
fight
it?
back in
Yeah.
the Royal Rumble 2000 in
Yep.
Madison Square Garden
Yep.
as well, which was
Yep.
it was cool, very very cool. For one of my moments, this isn't necessarily my favorite moment. Kane and Drew Carey in the 2001 Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Remember that one?
Drew Carey came rolling down to the ring, and I said this. I did a podcast with someone else before we watched this Rumble. Drew Carey makes his way down to the ring, and he looks like a created character in a WWE game. He's just got that tracksuit on, you know, the glasses that never fall off during a match, and just like celebrating with the crowd. I think the Hardys eliminate each other. He stands in the ring, ready to go, and then all you just see was that big fire. Kane walks out, and it's excellent. The way he hides away from, I think Raven comes out and ends up attacking Kane, and Drew Carey just hightails it over the top rope. He's like, "No, I'm done. I'm good. I'm all right." So yeah, that's one of my favorite Royal Rumble moments. Rob, we'll go back to you.
So one of my other ones there, as I say, was actually when Drew McIntyre actually won the Royal Rumble, and which also obviously included the spot with Ricochet and Brock Lesnar whenever they eliminated Brock Lesnar. I thought that whole moment, it just captured everything in one kick, pretty much. You know, it was the low blow and then the Claymore to present Brock Lesnar, and the crowd went absolutely nuts. Absolutely, and that was the moment. I think he kind of knew that was when Drew McIntyre was actually going to win the Royal Rumble, was eliminating Brock Lesnar. And I think that just set the whole thing up. He was going to feud with Brock Lesnar for those couple of months. And it did. And he put on a hell of a performance. And I really wish they would just give him that WrestleMania moment that he deserves, because everyone knows that he deserves it.
Yeah, he was unfortunate in that year because obviously COVID came in.
Yeah.
2 months later, after he was winning, about a month later, after he won the Rumble, so he didn't get that WrestleMania moment with Brock where he would have been main event, which was unfortunate. Emmet, you mentioned about that Rumble earlier, where you kind of like, we never knew who was going to win, and you were right, we didn't know who was going to win. Which what made it interesting about that Rumble is you knew whoever eliminated Brock Lesnar was winning that Rumble, and we didn't know who that was going to be, which made it so much more better. And then when Drew finally eliminated him, you kind of knew at that stage, you were like, well, Drew's winning the match. Yeah. But yeah, fantastic. Not only fantastic moment, but a fantastic Rumble.
Yeah.
Emmet, we'll go back to you.
A more recent one, Final Four in the 2018 Royal Rumble match. To the best of my knowledge, it was Reigns, Cena, Shinsuke, and Finn Balor.
Yeah.
And I think the exchange went on for 10 minutes, and you can cut the tension with the crowd like a knife. Like, everyone was hoping and praying that it was going to be Balor that went over, and he didn't, unfortunately. But then, like, you know, anytime that Cena would do something, the crowd were booing like mad. Anytime that Reigns did something, the boos went like mad and everything like that. The fact that like Virgil wasn't going over was like granted or whatever like this, we get over it. We all kind of assumed it was going to be Cena or it was going to be Reigns. But the fact then that like Shinsuke hit that Kinshasa, knocks Roman out of the ring, wins the Rumble. I think it's the only time in recent memory that someone won the Rumble outright that was a real surprise. Because like, as much as, you know, Drew winning the Rumble in 2020 was somewhat of a surprise, they were building him up for a few weeks beforehand as well. And it's a trait with WWE that they don't really do it as much anymore, but for years you'd have this thing that for 4 weeks before the Rumble, someone would be getting a push, but then they wouldn't win the Rumble. Nothing would happen with them after the fact. And we all thought that was what was happening with Drew, but when Drew eliminated Lesnar, then we kind of knew he was going to be going over and everything. Shinsuke winning the Rumble that year was totally out of the blue. Now, unfortunately, they didn't really capitalize it as much as they could have. Like, I enjoyed the whole Shinsuke Styles feud and everything for what it was. But it wasn't amazing by any means. And especially, this is only 2 years removed from like the Wrestle Kingdom. Is it Wrestle Kingdom they wrestled that just before Styles went back to WWE or went to WWE?
Wrestle Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, and that match it's on YouTube for anyone to watch. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And people were screaming about that for years. And as soon as both were in WWE, they were like, oh, can't wait to see what happened between Styles and Shinsuke if they were to wrestle again. And again, unfortunately, didn't match the hype. But the moment of Shinsuke winning the Rumble was just next level. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I didn't watch it live. I think I watched it maybe about 2 weeks later with a friend of mine who was like a lapsed wrestling fan as well. And it was one of those things too. It was 2 weeks after the fact, and I didn't have it spoiled. And then watching it through fresh eyes, like, you know, in the moment with no spoilers, was absolutely phenomenal. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be amazed if in the next few years WWE pulls something like that again, where someone totally out of the blue wins the Rumble. That I think is the coolest outcome, when it's totally unpredictable, and someone that you didn't predict to win wins it, and then you can't call the road to WrestleMania. Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, for me, the Final Four that year, again, it's that match is on YouTube. Anyone skip forward like 45 minutes, the last like 10 minutes of that match, and it's phenomenal. The crowd don't know what way to swing it and everything else. It's brilliant. And when everyone thinks Roman is going over, and then he doesn't, and they erupt, it's you couldn't put a price on it. It's fantastic. Like,
very, very good Rumble. I'm actually going to stick in the same year as you, and I'm going to go for the very first Women's Royal Rumble. When you look at a Royal Rumble, we all look for that kind of like, what's the surprise entrant going to be? And we all kind of hope that it's like surprise after surprise after surprise. Like even 2002, if you go back that far, when Mr. Perfect returned to WWE, you know, no one kind of expected it. Those kind of surprises, and that was just full of them. Like I think Lita was probably the first surprise match kicked off with even Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. Mercedes Moné, Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, Molly Holly, I believe Tori Wilson, Kelly Kelly, Michelle McCool. Joe, there's so many names that just came back in that match that just made it so, so good. And I do believe that the women's roster in 2018 for WWE wasn't exactly stacked. So they had to bring in those names. But the fact that they did as well for the very first Royal Rumble just added so much more to it. And it was in the last number of years, 2020 for me is one of the best recent Rumbles. That was a phenomenal Rumble. One of the best between, I would argue, 2008 to 2018, in that 10-year, 12-year, or 11-year period. That was one of the better Rumbles. So that for me is in my top 3 favorite moments / matches. Rob?
Yeah, so my, as I say, last one as such, is actually whenever they had the WWE Championship on the line in the Royal Rumble match itself. And I think, no, I can't remember the year. I'm nearly sure it was either it was between 1990 and 92, and Ric Flair had won it. And and this was and I can't remember what year, but I know it was around that. Then I think the next one after that again, I think was whenever Triple H had whenever Roman Reigns was champion going into the Rumble.
2014, I think it was.
Yeah, and Triple H obviously went and won the Royal Rumble and the championship as well. And I love that, you know, sort of, you know, being able to have the championship on the line in a Rumble match, knowing that anybody could actually win this. And not knowing maybe who, but as I say, obviously, you know, usually it's like your Final Four type of thing. You tend to know who roughly is going to be in that, to be the champion type of thing in that, and to have that element of surprise type of thing in that, you know, where it could be somebody completely different. You know, throw in Jinder Mahal for example in that match. You know, just for a surprise spot. He could have just won it and then for a month and then lose it at Elimination Chamber to somebody else and then bang. You know, that was what I loved about those types of matches, and that because you just never knew.
You just never know. It's kind of like an Elimination Chamber in that way, where normally if the champion like starts or even enters like third or fourth, if they get eliminated first, you know you're getting a new champion. So kind of similar in the Royal Rumble, like Roman entered one. I think he got eliminated towards the end. But as soon as he goes out, you're like, we're getting a new champion. And that excites you straight away, because even though you might know who it is, you just know that, like, we're getting something new. We're getting something maybe a little bit different, which is exciting. Yeah, good moments. 2 good moments. Emmet?
This is just the nostalgia factor in me now, but this was the first Rumble I watched as a fan, and it's not the Rumble match itself, although the Santino moment in that Rumble is fantastic. But I am referring to the WWE title match from the Rumble in 2009 between Edge and Jeff Hardy. The the moment that convinced me, that like got me full on board with becoming a wrestling fan, was probably Hardy winning the triple threat and winning the WWE title in 08 at Armageddon. And I remember just like thinking at the time, knowing nothing about wrestling. Like I like November 14th, that episode SmackDown, that's slap bang where I started wrestling. So I had like maybe 4 weeks before I'd ever seen a world title change hands or whatever. So I assumed that when Jeff won that belt, he was going to hold on for years and years and years and everything like this. Like, well, not years, but months and months and months. And then Maven Huffman, no, I'm only messing. But but like to see how that match unfolded, and there's so many great spots in that match as well. But like the twist with Matt costing Jeff the title and everything like this was just insane. Like, do you know what I mean? I remember at the time, like the betrayal at like 12 years of age, seeing Matt hit Jeff with the chair and being like, but you're the Hardy brothers, you can't do this. Like, do you know what I mean? And like the payoff, obviously, at Mania, that match was fantastic too. But and as well, Edge of that period with any like Edge held like what was it? Edge held the WWE title and the world title like 4 times in 6 months between like November 2008 and like June of 2009. Like he held so many titles in such a short span of time. I was nuts about Edge at the time as well. But again, that was the first conscious time as a fan that I was kind of watching for a few weeks going into a big title match. I was really hyped for it. I was a big Jeff Hardy mark. And the betrayal, I'll never forget going into school. It was the Monday I watched the match because obviously the time difference and it was always on the Sunday. I had watched the Rumble by Monday evening. Tuesday going into school, I was in shitty form. Like, talked to my mates in school like the rest, and they were there with the arms crossed. I was like, fuck was that bullshit with Matt Hardy at the Rumble? Like, he wasn't even in the fucking match. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's probably the childlike innocence is what has that as my number 3 moment. But yeah, Jeff Hardy versus Edge, WWE title, Royal Rumble 09 is one of my picks.
That's a good moment. Yeah. I'm surprised none of you have picked my moment, my last moment.
Mm-hmm.
From the 2005 Royal Rumble, when both Batista and John Cena eliminated each other. And we see that famous strut walking down the ramp as Vince McMahon walks down and tears both quads. What a moment. What a moment. Just so good. Just seeing him like strutting down to the ring and he'd already taken off his jacket and he going really bad. And he just steps into the ring and just collapses onto his arse. It's so good. And the way he's there, like with his hands on the hips, just sitting there, looking up at the referee, just like, oh God. So good. It's
that's the way I'll be walking on Saturday, just walking with the elbow pops out or something like that.
And it reminds me of this man. Mr. Torquads.
I'm gone. What's been an hour, and I'm getting texts from everybody saying, God, please get on this episode of Five Marks. Emmet is bothering me. His rants are pathetic. He's so fucking annoying. And that Rob Gold guy, Jesus Christ, I cannot stand him.
So Martin, it's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny. So can I just say this? Martin has been texting me and he's like, he's still doing the podcast, I might join in, right? So that's why I mentioned about Vince McMahon tearing his quads. And then told him to join at this moment.
I was watching YouTube. I was just like, I want to come in here and just completely bother them. I don't plan on staying. I just want to annoy Emmet. So it's like, I literally, are you still there? Are you still in the call? Yeah. I'm going to sneak myself in. Oh, wait just a second. Let you know when. No. Tell me when Emmet's talking.
I did not do that. I meant sure I was talking about Vince McMahon tearing his quads.
Wow. What I can't wait for is the fact when he listens back to this episode and hears about all of the Maven talk.
You guys were talking about Maven. Oh, I should have been on this episode.
We've been talking about Maven for like the last hour and 20 minutes nearly.
And we're still talking about Maven, so it's okay.
Yeah, we haven't even into the women's rumble match yet. That's our next topic.
So this is why I should have been here to host, because it would have been about 15 minutes of Maven.
Yeah.
But I said I'd make a little cameo because I know everybody misses me. So yeah, enjoy the rest of whatever Carmo's got planned. Make sure it's all about me, all good things, and no step hermanos. Got it?
See, this is like the opposite of a good rumble, where Martin actually exits the rumble instead of entering the rumble.
He's doing a Maven. He's coming in. He's coming out.
Oh, if Maven could drop kick you now,
just runs up from behind him and kicks him into his monitor.
Maven has
Maven,
nothing
what are
on
you
me.
doing here?
Maven has nothing on me. We have the better YouTube channel, Maven, okay? Fuck your stupid stories. You're a fucking mark yourself. I've nothing else to say. That's it.
See, he gives out about Emmet ranting. He comes on here for 30 seconds. He's
I'm
already
Tony
ranting about Maven.
Khan!
He's already ranting about Maven.
He's
He's
got
gone. He's gone. He's gone. That's the last you'll see of Martin for about 6 months now. But yeah, look, we are about an hour and 20 minutes into this, so we're going to cut into the kind of women's rumble match. Again, one that I kind of said earlier that like I don't know, like who could win it. Do you know that kind of way? There is so many names up for grabs. Like you have Becky Lynch, you have a possible returning Naomi, who we all kind of think is going to return.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan is another shout. Bailey is also about. Jade Cargill, you can't necessarily rule out. Bianca Belair is also thereabouts. That's 5 people without even kind of giving while forgetting a lot of names. Do you know that kind of way? So it's just it's so wide open for me.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that's what we love about these types of Royal Rumble events is the fact that like it's so wide open. Like anybody from 1 to 30 can win this. Like, and that's not even joking. And I would love to see that moment of a woman's Royal Rumble going from either 1 or 2 to actually winning the whole thing.
We had that last year.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley entered at number 1 and she won.
That's right, you did, yeah. Right enough. Yeah, that's right, I remember that. Yeah.
Might do it a second year in a row. Who knows? Not Rhea Ripley, but like someone.
Yeah. Now that would be actually quite good actually to have someone do that again, but somebody different type of thing, because then that would be a surprise element to have to do that again.
Yeah.
But
Emmet, have you got something to say?
Yeah, I'd like initially. I don't know if we're jumping into predictions yet, but since she's been mentioned, my prediction was going to be that Rhea is going to enter herself into this. Doesn't matter if she comes in number 1 or 2, wins it again, and challenges for the SmackDown Women's title and becomes the first ever. Well, not the first ever, but maybe like the most
Second ever,
recent,
I think.
second ever, because Becky two belts, takes the Women's World Heavyweight title and the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania. And I think
Yeah.
like because her reign is not going stale at all. Like I remember watching the match last year after, like between her and Charlotte, and it was fantastic.
Mhm.
And like that, it doesn't feel stale at all. It still feels very fresh and very new. Her reign, I could see her holding the belt for 3 years, not a problem, not a problem. I wouldn't get bored of it unless, like, you know, she didn't shake up things at some point. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I could easily see her, and if she did it from number 1 or number 2, like last year, 2 years in a row, that wouldn't even be a more impressive feat than like Steve Austin's 3 Rumble wins. Do you know what I mean? Like it would. I think the Women's Rumble needs those type of stats early on too. It needs those things to, you know,
just to
like
build
you've
it.
got like exactly, because you've got like a 30+ year history of the Men's Royal Rumble. If you only really had like, you know, 6 Women's Royal Rumble, that's going to be including this year's one too. So they need those stats and those figures so that when you had that Rumble highlight video, it'd be like the only person to win Rumbles back to back from the number 1 spot, Rhea Ripley. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a cool statistic that the Women's Rumble could have. And if anyone is credible enough and deserves it enough, it's going to be Rhea Ripley. Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's no one I can see except for Becky Lynch taking this Rumble otherwise. Like I honestly can't. I can't see anyone else taking it. Like
there's 2 possible that I have in my mind, and now that you mentioned about Rhea Ripley entering herself in, and this would be a perfect for considering what's happened recently with this. Nia Jax, I think she could win this. People obviously were against her, obviously coming back and things like that. But the way she's sort of, you know, tore up the division since she's came back, I think she could be one of the favorites to actually win it. And the other one is Maven's sister, Maven Ella, I believe. She's making her debut, as far as I know.
Oh God!
Just Maven in a wig.
Back to this.
That he'd be the first person to enter 2 intergender rumbles back to back in the same night and make a Hall of Fame debut return. Sorry.
Oh God! Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Hey guys, Mavenita here.
But speaking on that kind of WrestleMania thing, as we did kind of a while ago with the Men's Rumble, if you do see Becky win, like Becky and Rhea Ripley at Mania could be a very, very good match. You have the Man versus Mommy, like, it would be very, very good. You have Bailey who could win it. I know there's been talk of her going after Rhea Ripley, but I do see that match against Io Sky happening between Bailey and Io Sky. You have Bianca Belair, who's had a history with Io Sky and has a very good history with Rhea Ripley as well. Actually, in a Royal Rumble too. I think they've both finished in the bottom three twice in Royal Rumbles, maybe 3 times. Liv Morgan is also there as well, as I've mentioned. But I think it's very interesting. I think Io Sky windows of draw is going to be going up against Bailey. Now, whether they do a 4-way or they add in like Asuka and Kairi Sane and so on and so forth, who knows. Rhea Ripley for me is the interesting one because you do have that like Becky Lynch type thing. You have that Bianca Belair. Jade Cargill could make quite a big debut and kind of go on to a Mania match with Rhea Ripley. And you never know who else might come back or debut or do anything that could also go up against Rhea Ripley. But I do think Rhea Ripley needs a big challenger for Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Like she fought Charlotte in her last year's one. Throughout the last year, she hasn't really fought anyone of a major caliber. I know she fought like Zoe Stark, like Tegan Knox, Shayna Baszler, you know, those kind of people. But she hasn't fought like a Becky Lynch, a Bianca Belair, even a Naomi if she does return. You know, she hasn't fought that kind of person. So I do think she needs a very, very big match coming into Mania. Look, we'll go into kind of possible returns and stuff like that. Who we can see returning or debuting or anything like that. We'll mix it up and we'll start with Emmet.
For the Women's Rumble, I don't know off the top of my head. It's hard to call. One I would love to see, but I don't see it happening, would be Molly Holly. I would love to see Molly Holly coming back for Women's Royal Rumble. Outside that, when it comes to like, I am so out of the loop when it comes to female talent as to who is and isn't in like AEW and like New Japan and TNA at the moment, because it's like the whole wrestling world is such a state of flux at the moment. But yeah, if it was like a Legends return and everything like that, which Molly Holly has been she made a cameo appearance in one of the more recent Rumbles, didn't she? Yeah. Well, if it's not Molly Holly, Mavelina.
Could happen. Rob.
Yeah, so we did touch on, let's say, like Naomi and Jade Cargill. I think they are 2 possibilities. I think Jade Cargill, my shout was going to be Jade Cargill for coming into this Rumble, because it was either going to be War Games where she would debut as being one of them teams. That didn't happen. I thought to myself, if that didn't happen, it was going to be the Royal Rumble that she would debut in. Some people are saying that she'll debut and actually win the Royal Rumble, which could, as I say, have the ramifications against possibly Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, which would be quite a good match to set her up with. But there again, I mean, obviously she would need single matches to sort of build herself up, you know, on the WWE as well, other than just the Royal Rumble match itself. But I would say someone who haven't mentioned, because we don't know what the situation with this is, between Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné, whichever way you want to say it. But there's potential about her as well. We know, well, I've heard there potentially that they were trying to strike a deal, but apparently that they weren't sure money-wise and things like that, and if AEW were going to be in there at the last minute with her. But there's always the potential of Sasha Banks potentially returning there. And as I say, you know, if we don't get Molly Holly, we could always get Mighty Molly instead. You know,
true
sort of thing. So, you know, but who knows? But I would say Jade Cargill would probably be one of the favorites to come into this Rumble at least.
Absolutely. I do hate to break your hearts. We actually have had a Mighty Molly return as well at a Rumble recently. So we've had a Molly Holly and a Mighty Molly. All we need is a Maven and a Mighty Maven.
A Mighty Maven. It's a Maven coming through.
I don't know why, but I just have. Do you remember like when you had I can't think of your man at the Fatus. Do you remember like, oh God, was Umaga Rosie? Was that his name? Yeah. And do you remember he had like the orange and blue thing across his face and the cape and stuff? I could just imagine Mighty Maven being like Martin. Got a little helmet that's shaped like a milk carton, and he's just running like Naruto down to the ring. Tears
Oh,
both his buds.
Here he comes back into the podcast. Says, what did you say about me?
Put in the get up.
Oh god.
We have fun here on the Five Marks.
We have a lot of fun here in the FiveMarks, especially when Martin's gone. But no, I'm going to list off a couple of names that I have kind of written down here of possible returns, debuts, so on and so forth. Mickey James, who's with TNA at the moment. It's a possibility. One I'd actually really like to see, she returned in the COVID Rumble in 2021. So she didn't really get out there in front of a crowd. Victoria.
Ooh.
Would be a pretty cool one. Speaking on those kind of similar lines, Jazz.
Yeah.
We haven't seen in quite a while. Trish, I have a feeling will make a return at the Rumble. I know she's only kind of gone out recently, but I feel like Trish could be there. Liv Morgan, Naomi, Jade Cargill, as we've mentioned. I've two more left. One of them I find is a bit more interesting than the other, which is what I'm going to say first. Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, okay. Martin's sister. Okay.
He's going to hate you for this one. He's going to hate you. And she gets drop kicked by Maven. No, something could happen, Joe. She's obviously been gone for quite a while. I don't see it happening, but a Stephanie McMahon Rumble appearance could be cool. And lastly, AJ Lee.
That's been rumored for a few months now. I know she posted something which I think was more of an attempt to put stuff to bed, saying, "Oh, it was only for some show they were doing rather than for a Rumble appearance." But to be fair, like it's been. It's coming up on 2014 was 2015 was her last calendar year in WWE.
15.
So 9 years since she's been on WWE television. If ever there was a time to do it, like her husband is going to be in the men's Royal Rumble, would make all the sense in the world. I was a massive AJ mark as well when she was in WWE. My God, I'd lose my life. And that, do you know, just because you mentioned her now, Caitlyn is one I could see actually making a return as well. Yeah.
There's a big kind of list of the women's one that you could see returning. That kind of way, it makes it a lot more interesting. But yeah, AJ Lee, I think is one that we could see return for the Rumble. Maybe just a one-off, not do any wrestling or anything like that afterwards, but just a one-off for a Rumble appearance. I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's one. I don't know if she would be able to stick around for long after. This is the problem. Is Linda McMahon?
Oh God.
It's like, do you know that scene in White Chicks where he just goes, "Your mama's so old, her breast milk's like dust and the powder comes out." If she was to take sell a punch in the ring, she went back, the sands of time would hit off her, do you know what I mean? Like something out of the Mummy from 2000s, do you know what I mean? Some CGI monster comes out of her, oh God above.
Yeah.
You thought Vince's quads is bad. This is worse now after this one.
She's with the Republican Party, so her finisher could be she brings out a fucking Glock 9. If someone comes near, she's like, get back. It's my right.
Oh God. Lads, give me one name as to who do you think will win the Women's Royal Rumble. Rob.
I'm going to go Jade Cargill.
Cool. Emmet.
Rhea Ripley.
I am going to go for Bailey. Bailey's for my winner. And again, we do have our bet on. As I said, if you do want to do your own kind of bets at home, pick 3 or 4 numbers if you have amongst the group. And a small prize. Ours is a ticket for Scrapper Mania. You could do a $5 a head, and the winner gets 15, 20 quid, depending on however many of you is. Just something small to have fun with. Which we're actually going to do after this. I'm going to set this up either later on today or tomorrow. But look, that has been our kind of preview for the Royal Rumble match, which is set to take place today week. I hope you're all enjoying the Loco Rumble. And if you are listening to this at the time of the Loco Rumble, why aren't you at the Loco Rumble? That's right, because you didn't get a ticket.
I feel so bad for anyone because there's so many people trying at the moment too.
I know.
And there's just us rubbing the salt in.
I know. It'll be funny now because they'll turn up and it turns out that you've actually bought a ticket to I don't know, the next show or something. They're like, no, you can't get in with these. These aren't the right tickets.
Oh my God, Martin would cry.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
yeah.
I think I'd
Martin
laugh at
going?
first and then try and break my way in.
Is Martin going on Saturday?
I do not know yet.
If he does go, keep an eye on our socials because I have a very special present for Martin at the Loco Rumble. If he does go, I'll tell you. I won't tell him when we go.
Pint of milk.
It's got his picture on his face.
But look, ladies and gentlemen, we have been the Five Marks. Do be sure to follow us on our socials. I get to do this job now because I don't know it. FiveMarks Podcast everywhere and FiveMarks Pod on Twitter. If it's not that, it's the other way around. I'm going to learn it though. I'll have it off by next week. I do promise. Maybe. I probably won't. But yeah, do give us a follow. YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook account. I don't think anyone really posts on it, but
Yeah,
we
it's
have
not
it.
used.
So
Oh my
if
god!
you want to get in touch with us there as well, you absolutely can. Make sure to buy our merch, which none of us are wearing, but it's okay. FiveMarks merch, ding ding dong on the back. 20 quid if you want one of those. Either message on the Mark's page or message any one of us, and we'll definitely get you sorted out. Lads, if you continue want to promote, talk about anything at all for the last couple of seconds of this episode.
Just want to promote. Obviously, those who don't have the tickets for the Local Rumble and that, as I say, watch it on demand. As I say, once it comes available, because this is a show you that you're not going to want to miss, and that, and providing that they go ahead with this next year as well, this is going to be, I would possibly say, an annual event. So for those once the tickets go on sale, get them as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Emmet?
Yep, Martin will kill me for this, but From the Depths is back full time as of 2 weeks ago. So if you're into heavy metal, horror movies, or a combination of the two, you can find new episodes every Wednesday wherever you get your podcast from. This past week's episode, so they go out Wednesday midday every week. This past week's episode was an interview with power metal outfit from the north, Raven Light, and we actually name drop WrestleMania at one point or another. If you have no interest in listening to that, do check out their power metal cover of The Weeknd's Blinding Lights, which of course was the theme song for WrestleMania in 2020. That is up on their YouTube channel. They will be playing the Siege of Limerick as well on March 31st, which is free and everything like that. So if you are into heavy metal music and you want to go to a free gig, Siege of Limerick, but more importantly, From the Depths, every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcast from, you can hear me ramble about stuff that isn't wrestling related. And yeah, there's 60 odd episodes. Hopefully we get to the 100 mark before the end of the year. I'm trying to make it weekly this year now.
Dude, try and catch up to the 5 marks.
Yeah. I had a year on E2 before the podcast started, which is saying a lot. You think I don't show up for this podcast? You see how bad I am on my own podcast.
Yeah, I'm better host than Martin as well. Martin wouldn't let him promote that, so I let him promote it. As well as that, do make sure to check out Weekly Controversies. The lads recently did an interview with Sammy D about the whole Trent 7 situation. You can find it on Spotify or any podcast streaming place if you look for FiveMarks Weekly Controversies. Follow them on, I believe, Instagram and TikTok as well. It's Weekly Controversies _2. Do check that out with all those boys as well. But look, we have been the FiveMarks Podcast. And since I'm hosting for today, Emmet, take it away.
Oh, yeah, let me get ready. All right, folks.